innovation, security, programming, technology, development.
Let's begin.
Devsecops. Devsecops, your cybersecurity and technology podcast.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching and, of course, listening to us one more time. This is the Devsecops podcast. I'm Cássio Pereira, and today it's very good day actually because I have guests. I will introduce them in a minute, and also I don't have my team. That guy doesn't like to work, so it's a good episode. Yeah, just guest and myself, which is perfect episode, I would say. No, I'm just kidding. You can send message to the guys after. Guys, first before introduce our guests, it's also opportunity to talk about Nova 8 and Checkmarks, which is our sponsor and is providing us a lot of engagement in the community itself. If you are interested in Checkmarks, you can talk to Nova 8 team in Brazil, or you can talk to Nova 8 team in Poland as well. Also, if you are interested, of course, in looking for your jobs or you want to announce your AppSec opportunities, you can go to appsec.jobs and you have free opportunity to find a job, but of course post your opportunities there as a company. Also talk about Gold Security. If you are looking for AppSec services, you can talk to Gold Security. They have specialized professionals to help you. And Digital Woke, if you are looking for AppSec solutions, they have a full portfolio to cover your apps. Yeah, don't miss up this specific words. Okay, so guys, today we're going to be talking about AppSec challenges, and for that I invited two of recent friends, I could say, that I met, and they are here today to talk. If you are on the YouTube, of course you can see their faces already, but I will invite them to introduce themselves. First, thank you for joining. Thank you for the time. Thank you for rescheduling and so on and so forth. But finally, here we are. And welcome, Idan and Simon. Please introduce yourself. Say anything that you want. The stage is yours. Huh?
All right, I'll go first. Thanks, Casio, for having us today. My name is Idan. I've been a PC boy most of my life, and then started my journey in the software development. Most of my time I've been like a team leader. I've been a software developer living like the startup world, the enterprise world. And then I started like my journey in security. Started like in the mobile security space, which was a really very cool experience with really cool and complex attacks. Then we moved to the application security space. Been in one of the vendors, specifically in the ICA space. Seen some of the challenges and started to experience themselves. And then I correlated back to my time as a developer. So I think now I'm a director of solution engineering at Apiro, where we were going to discuss about the AppSec and some of the challenges that we have seen after probably hundreds of conversations with different practitioners across the globe.
Awesome. Welcome again. And where are you based? Just for audience can know where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm based in Tel Aviv in Israel. Nice sunny day here. So, yep.
Good. Actually, it's sunny day, but despite the problems that you're having in Israel, but hope everything as fine as possible for you. Yeah. Again, thank you for the time and everything. So, Simon, you're the next one. Yeah?
Yeah, hey, Cassio. Thank you, my friend, and thank you for inviting us along to this webinar today. Yeah, so I'm Simon. I'm based in the UK. I'm leading some of the sales effort here for Apiro within the EMEA region. Just quick backdrop on me. I've been working with my good friend Idan for, I was thinking the other day, maybe eight plus years, possibly. So we started our relationship back in Semantic, and prior to that, I was selling mobile or helping organizations secure their mobile security posture, if you like. And more recently, I've spent probably 4 or 5 years within the application security space. So a couple of years previously at Sneak, and then 2 years here within Apiro, where we're taking quite a unique approach to solving what is a long-standing problem in terms of, identifying risks within software development. So really excited about the conversation today, and looking forward.
Awesome. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the first time that we have someone from UK and someone from Israel. If I'm not mistaken, probably I had someone from Israel in the past, but anyway, let's consider you as a first, okay? Don't worry. Yeah. So yes, again, guys, thank you for the time, thank you for everything, and let's start introducing this conversation with one question. You just mentioned that you were working in Apiro and you back from Sneak as well. So big vendors and specific, let's say, companies focus on AppSec problems. So you have your whole, also item was a software developer as well. So you have the whole idea on how software development work, and then how to do security on top of that. So the question, I would say, the question to start this conversation is, with your experience and the whole background and these vendors, the whole career that you have, guys, what do you think is the most easy part of doing application security? Because usually we talk about challenges. Yeah, I understand, we will get there. But what do you think it's like, this is easy? Everybody accepts, everybody wants this, easy to install or to set up or to define a process. What do you would say that, okay, this is easy in AppSec? Do you have something in mind?
This is a great question over what is easy. I can tell you what is the most common driver. I'm not sure if the most easiest thing. Unfortunately, there is no easy in AppSec if you think about it because of the complexity. The easiest thing, hey, my boss told me we need to meet SOC 2 Type 2 certificate. And these are the things that I need to have in place before we speak about prioritization, before we speak about enrollment, before we speak about how we engage development to that process. I can go and buy any tool. I can go and buy my SCA scanner that will start to find problems. I can go to pay someone, to my pen tester, to go and start and find problems. What I will do with them after, this is a whole different complex conversation. But buying is easy, getting a service is easy, starting to get a glance over some security problems that you might have within your SDLC or or your application code. This is the easy part. Let's call it like start getting visibility over what you're facing with.
Okay. Simon, do you agree, or we're going to have a fight right
Yeah.
now?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's easy to buy a tool, maybe less easy to deploy, but to Dan's point, and we're seeing this across all the organizations we're working with today, there's lots of point solutions out there, lots of noise. What do you do with an alert that comes from a tool, right? How do you make sense of it? How do you prioritize? How do you contextualize? And that's a lot of the conversations we're having are around that pain point, right? So people have deployed lots of different tools at different parts of the development lifecycle, but making sense of those alerts and knowing what you prioritize from a remediation standpoint is a core pain point today.
Okay. I also agree. I think it's easy to start looking for problems and usually start comparing AppSec life with our personal lives. For example, you have a pain or some uncomfortable stuff, then you go to the doctor. It's really easy. You go to the doctor, set an appointment, and discover the problems. I mean, usually you easily discover the problems. You do your exams and you know what's the problem is. Then it comes the challenges. Yeah, how you treat that specific symptoms or problems depends on the root cause and so on. So if we come to AppSec, as Aidan just said, it's easy to set up an SCA or a SAST or whatever scanner it is or a pen tester and have thousands of alerts. Then comes to the challenge, and I would that's the next question. How you think that this challenge that comes now, we can enumerate them and so on, but which one you would say, okay, this is the most difficult part now? I understand my problems, I have a bunch of alerts. What's the next step? What I have to do in order to smoothly treat my problems, let's say, huh?
So here's what we're seeing many times, and I've seen many organizations go through the same cycle. Day one, you don't know what you have. You went, invested a tool. You had to buy an SEA because your head of DevOps told you that we must meet a SOC 2 or we have a PCI along the way. These are the tools that we need to have in place. Cool. You roll them out. The auditor signed off. You're good to go. 3 months after, where everything is being rolled out, you end up with so many problems. And these are going back to your analogy. So many symptoms, so many problems, bad signals all the way from bad blood test to bad X-ray, goes everywhere. And now you're trying to question yourself, how should I even go and get on this mess, right? Because your boss will say, oh my God, we have 3,000 problems across of our code base or across our dependencies. How should we go and tackle it? And this is where the pain starts, right? Because now, if I put myself in the shoes of that practitioner, I wouldn't say poor, but poor practitioner, he needs to go and figure out. All right, but let's go step back. What is our organization looks like? How many developers are working on that environment? How many business units? What are the business goals? Where are my critical assets? Right, like if I have 100 services, right? Not all of them are equally important when it comes to risk. Like in your mindset, you're starting to take a risk-based approach. I do like one pause. In my past, I've been like a QA manager, right? I've done automation and stuff like that. And there are so many bugs and quality bugs in your product. How many of them are important? What are the bugs that will be in your end-to-end flow that your users will meet? Because those are the ones that you need to prioritize first. So the understanding is that the people that are going to fix problems are developers. Developers don't have all the time to fix all the problems. So you need to help them to choose the most important problems that they need to go and fix first, right? For example, if your heart is not working, you won't then go and put a band on some injury that you got. So this is where it starts to get complex, because now you need to go and start and do some kind of reconnaissance to understand how your environment looks like, where the risk, what are the most critical assets, and I guess this is the starting point.
Okay, cool. Simon, something on top of that?
Yeah. So I think Dan's touched on some great points there. So again, we in the earlier question took it's not just tooling that solves the problem, right? You need to look at the processes, and I think that's what obviously what Dan was touching on there. And often those risk assessment, those AppSec processes today are often typically very manual, very repetitive, and they don't necessarily give the right visibility or context of the changes that might have been made. So we talk here at Appear a lot about context, the importance of context. But I think the point being is, it's not just the tooling, it's the processes. You need to look at it, I guess, with a wider lens, if you like, as to, business impact, things like that.
Devsecops. Devsecops.
Okay, you had a good introduction, but let's go deeper. And I have some concern on my own as an AppSec engineer for companies as well. Usually I hear like we can't have much noise. I get it. Like we can't have thousands of vulnerabilities. You're not fixing all of them. That's fine. But then I come back to the doctor example. Yeah, you go to the doctor and then they discover you have a kidney problem. I don't know, kidney stones, inflammation, whatever. And then you discover also that, and this can be dangerous after a time. Yeah, and then you discover also, I don't know, heart problem that can, if you don't treat in 1 year, it can kill you. That's fine. And I imagine you go to the doctor and this doctor knows all this information about you. And this doctor is going to say, man, stop smoking, go to the gym, drink more water. But he doesn't actually said to you, you have a very strong kidney problem, or you have a very a heart attack condition, a heart condition that can kill you. Or even how to say, dismiss some information like, you're gonna die in 1 year, but let's do the best as you can in this year. My point is, usually in AppSec we are dismissing a lot of alerts. Yes, because they are false positives, because they are out of context. These ones I agree, but we have a bunch of ones that they are part of the problem as well, and they must be fixed either today, either tomorrow, but they must be informed to the developers, CISO, management, whoever, because these are the guys with the symptoms. And if they don't treat it, tomorrow can be worse. Like I had kidney stones myself, so I need to drink a lot of water. I need to do a lot of things in order to don't get worse, and hopefully I will survive. So my point is, what do you think, like on this missing some specific informations on AppSec? You think that we should, as a patient, come on, doctor, hit me in, tell me everything, how much time I have, what I have to do, what's the treatment, medicine, whatever, or no, give me just the worst problem that I will focus now, but then I might not have time tomorrow to fix other problems that can be important as well. What do you think about this?
My take, I guess, to this one is a couple of things. When you think about AppSec, in the end of the day, not just about, as you said, not accepting, killing the backlog, find what to close. It's also find what actually impose risk to your business, right? To the organization, to your environment. And in order to do so, you need to understand like how your environment looks like, right? Like if I'm thinking about my house, where are the windows? Where are the doors? Where do I have locks? Where I don't have locks? Where I have, I don't know, I didn't close the door properly, so now someone can go and get in. And sometimes it might be a combination. The door in the building is open and my door is open as well. And only when I have that combination, it's risky. So first of all, I'm trying to, in my mind, to paint a map. and to put things on a graph, and then try to understand what is the path that an attacker would try and go and attack my environment, and what are his entry point, for example, if we go more deeper, and what kind of data he will try to get into, and what are the things that he will try to fetch during his journey. Would it be, I don't know, high privileges? Would it be a key to my sensitive storage bucket? There were so many attacks when you just deliver the mobile client, and then when someone just like did reverse engineering, very simple one with strings, nothing fancy, just got like a key to some internal services, to some storage database, and then he could have accessed everyone's database. So that put my jeopardized like a lot of the things that in my place at risk. So the question would be, how am I able to paint and find those common attacks that attackers would try to do, and then try to clean those up along the way, from production to application code to the way the developers behave. Yeah, so this probably would be what I would be after.
Okay.
And I guess just to add to that, I'm just trying to think of great analogies, guys. I haven't got an analogy, I'm afraid, but I think just to build on that, understanding the business impact, understanding the full stack is super important. But I think you touched on vulnerabilities, right? So much in AppSec is focused on vulnerabilities, and it has been for many years, right? And vulnerabilities, be it in an open source dependency in proprietary code or wherever, that's only part of the problem. And I think starting to Idan's point and understanding, getting a full application inventory before you even start to break it down across risks, understanding all the code components, things like APIs, data models, all of that, that's the foundational layer, if you like, of understanding what you have from a visibility perspective. And then you can start to break it down across what your potential risks are, of which vulnerabilities are a core component of that.
Okay. I also think that on this, keeping the same analogy, for example, I see some companies like this kind of person that are afraid of going to the doctor because they know they have problems and they will discover this problem and they are afraid of the results. And sometimes I see companies like, maybe we'll not have the good SAST or SCA or whatever, because if we start scanning, I know we're going to have a lot of problems. Then we need to fix this problem and so on. So they prefer to just omit, I think, this kind of processes and improving the maturity level on AppSec to keep hiding these problems, even though they know that they are there. But one day they will pop up as a exploitation or a business impact, an attack or something like this, just like a disease. Yeah, you have a condition, one day it will pop up and can be a problem. Yeah. And okay, we got this map mindset in mind, as you could describe it now. Now I would ask a specific question about Apiro, where you are based today, or you are working today. How you think that Apiro can contribute to this specific problem, like Idan mentioned? Okay, I want to discover my assets, or I want to know my business impact, business units, and so on. How does a specific solution or a process approach help the companies to do that? Okay, what are my assets? Or okay, this is the assets. I know this is important. What I need to look here? What I'm a human. I go to the doctor. What I need to check? I need to check my brain, my heart, my whole body. What I need to check? Sometimes companies get lost with these exams that they need to do, and we need to help them. Okay, guys, it's important an SCA because we use 80% of our software is composed by third-party libraries. So we need to check these guys. Yeah? So what do you think? How Apiro is contributing to the companies achieve that?
So I'm not sure if Simon, you want to take it first, but
Sorry, I was waiting for you. So, well, listen, I think there's a few areas we're helping with, and I've touched on one already, right? So we start with visibility, right? So by gaining a full understanding of all your code components, being able to run that and deliver that, build that visibility automatically. That's the first foundational layer. And once we built, once Apiro or a tool like Apiro has built that visibility, that tracked all material code changes and start to break down all those code components, and then we start to run that automated risk assessment. So I spoke about some of those typical manual processes that are in place today. We can automate a lot of that, right? So being able to tie and associate risks with potential code owners, so helping cut down remediate mean time to remediate time. So for us, it's visibility. It's running an automated risk assessment, and then the third piece, and again, this is all just on that automation theme, if you like, is once we've built that inventory, run that risk assessment, how do you automate? How do you trigger some of the specific developer flows automatically? And maybe Dan, you can talk through that in a little bit more detail in terms of some of that automation, perhaps.
I'll go even before I speak about Appear and how we contribute and the different tooling. Let's go one step back about AppSec, right? Like AppSec today work in two streams. Before I'm speaking about Devsecops initiative and all of that good stuff. I want to discover the symptoms. So I getting tools, I get pen test reports. I'm trying to identify where I have bad signals that I need to go and do after. In parallel, there is another manual stream that hasn't been changed in the past 25 years. And this is go about risk assessment. Like each one of us will call it a different name. All of us are doing it. So I will go and talk with the architects and I will go and try to understand what is the inventory of assets, what are the technologies, where my application is hosted, how the architecture looks like, trying to understand like what are the different components. That process, I can't do it on my own unless I have tons of time. I can go through the backlog. Time is stopping. Development is not continuing to deliver more and more features. Maybe I can do this one-time mapping, but this is not reality, especially not in cloud native form. So the next step would be, okay, so I need to ask people. And like, if I'm a developer and I'm going back to my early days as a developer and I've been requested, hey, you built that huge feature. I have a bunch of security related questions. So first time I'm naive, I'm answering everything properly. Then the AppSec tell me, oh, so now we need to do a threat modeling, a design review, and did you add this control on that API, and did you put all of those good stuff? I say, oh no, but I've done this like 3 sprints ago. I don't even remember what I've done, and then it starts to create that friction. So for us at Appear, this is the first thing that when we're thinking about the visibility and context, it's exactly that. Let me understand how the application looks like today without the need to go and ask someone. And again, even as a developer, we don't have visibility to the entire code base. And only when I understand what are the different components and now how potentially they are linked between them and which code modules have sensitive data, which repository is even active, right? Most organizations, 60% of the repositories, no one pushed code in the past like 1 year, right? Like this is the reality. And it's just like a larger attack surface. So being able to map that initially automatically and also being able to track after changes, right? Because our applications are constantly being updated. There are new code changes. Every code change is classified differently. If I just, I don't know, change the color of a button in a CSS file, I don't care as a security person. But if I added a new database technology, hey, there are a couple of actions that I need to take. Is it encrypted at rest? How is it deployed? Like, let's talk about it, right? It's a security interesting event. So from our perspective, it's being able to help you and raise a flag, hey, something meaningful has been changed. There is a new risk here. Someone added a new exposed secret in a critical repository that accesses sensitive data points. And then this is like the foundation that helps you to build your AppSec, I guess, at scale and more effectively for today's. So,
Devsecops. Devsecops.
That's very good. I need to just have a break because one of our listeners once sent a message that, oh, I was so deep in the episode, listen to you guys, and I got lost in the traffic in São Paulo. So you that are listening us now, just check your GPS if you're on the right way. Yeah, just check, double check, then you can keep listening. So I want to bring another point now. I had the opportunity to test Apiro. I didn't have the opportunity to buy it. Unfortunately, I was not the money owner, let's say. But I remember one good feature, which was I think it's a timeline that you could check for a specific developer, for example, and you have the timeline of commits and so on. So per each commit or each activity, let's say, it was pointing like, okay, Casio as developer has done this pull request and there was a secret on the code. Or on the other pull request, there was a SAS finding. Or in this other one, a component with vulnerability. So this was a very good feature where I could not track my users, but understand which of them like need training, for example, or improvement on security skills and this kind of things, which is something that I don't see in any kind of solutions. How can I assess the developer if he knows about security? Checking the code itself or code review, but it can take time. And this kind of feature was to me was like magic. Like, okay, I can just track and like who from my team I should provide, I don't know, SQL injection training or best practice security training, whatever, just based on this specific information. Huh? And then comes to the question now, do you think this is a good approach, like tracking these guys somehow to provide training? Because can be also offensive for developers. I was developer. I hated when someone come, your code has a vulnerability. Like, what? I did the perfect code, it's working, they tested, I don't care about security. It was on the past. But now, as I have the background and I see how is the AppSec challenge nowadays, this is one very good point. Like, hey, developers, your code is perfect, smells good, perfect, it's beautiful. But there is some security flaws that we should improve because, from my perspective, AppSec is like about stopping creating the problems. These tools are there, they are all good to check and so on. Like doctor, yeah, you go to the doctor when you have problems, you do the exams. But the good thing is, wait, go to the gym, don't eat bacon. No, keep eating bacon, but you go to the gym, eat healthy, and so on and so forth. So, do you think it's a good approach, like to check these developers and to provide these trainings? Not to, because I'm not a fan of this tracking, like just to point the finger. You are coding too much vulnerabilities. You are pushing too much cheat code. How do you see this, guys?
So look about it from another point of view, right? Like you're an AppSec. You don't inside the development team. Sometimes you even need to support multiple business units, right? Like the ratio is ridiculous. One AppSec for every 160 developers. Think about the velocity. It's something which is not manageable with that state. So you face the problem. Okay, you got like from your scanner, you told you that you have a critical RCE vulnerability in one of your dependencies. Before you raise all of your organizations on their legs and you stop everyone, blocking everyone for continuing the work, you want to say, let's have a conversation with the person who did it. How do you get to that person? So you will go and speak with a product owner who will refer you back to the engineering manager who will say, oh my God, that Casio guy again. And then he will send you to someone else. And further down the line, after you slow down everyone, not intentionally because you're trying to improve security, you will get to the right person. So the ability to associate a change, not necessarily vulnerability, because from a pure point of view, you have vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are clear. Is it impact my business? Cool. Mr. Developer, please go and fix it, or Mr. IT person, go and upgrade that environment. But there are some other elements of risky changes, right? Like if I added an API, this is the behavior, this is what the PM asked me, but it might impose risk. And here I want to take additional measurements. So it's not just about pointing fingers and say, hey, this is the developer that introduced the most vulnerabilities. Maybe it will be like your top engineer who push 60% of the code. So for sure you will introduce vulnerabilities. And by the way, and if we stick to the SE example, I didn't make any change in my code. There was a vulnerability that got introduced like in the day after. So being able to get to the right person helps you to close loops faster. And it's all about that.
And I guess just to add to that point, I think we as Idan said there, it's not about pointing the finger or apportioning blame, right? It's definitely a culture of helping build better, more secure code, right? I guess the other flip of that, right, is with this profiling that tools like Apero can potentially do, is you're able to do a couple of things. One, you can identify good practice, right, and potentially identify security champions. If you have a security champions program, identify those developers that are committing good secure code and may have an interest in security, and potentially that may be a career aspiration, or you just fundamentally scaling your AppSec function using a security champions program. Conversely, we hooking into training platforms, you can make sure that developers get the right contextually assigned training materials based on maybe some bad code that they've or some issues they may have introduced. So it's all about helping, and it's certainly not finger pointing exercises in terms of apportioning blame.
Yeah, I brought this up because usually I see companies asking for trainings and so on, and I also see trainings of 16 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours, and if you come to a developer like, no, you have this training to do, it will not happen. But if you come to the same guy and look, I see that your code has secret problems. You are hard coded credentials too much. Look to this 5 minutes video here. I think
Yeah.
it's changed the game, because you know the flaw with the context for that specific person. Of course, after Idan mentioned, you can talk to the manager, etc., to approach that specific person. Like, let's improve this specific part. With Simon mentioned, like with the context, yeah, and this change the game exactly on the AppSec, on the development team. Because, as I said, I was developer as well, and I hated to be interrupted, to break my flow, to come back to things that I did 1 month ago or something like this. But if I have 5 minutes conversation or a lesson or a video, it's totally different than 40 hours training on whole security stuff to learn about firewall, networking, like doesn't matter, yeah. So this specific approach, I think, is the best thing as well. Okay, the next point I want to touch is you might know a lot of companies and people around in the industry. What do you think that is the one skill, if you had the power of clapping your fingers, for example, and this is the new skill that every developer is going to have? Which skill would be that? Tricky
Uh,
one.
this is a hard, like what skill that the developer should have.
Can be a hard skill, technical stuff, soft skill. What do you think like every developer should have? Just like that.
I I think that developers they develop expertise in their domain, and sometimes even within a product, not need to be a huge product, you have expertise in a very specific area. The problem, and I've seen it also, like when I looked about it from a quality point of view, developers don't know how the application looks like. They don't know how the users are using it, the application. And the broader knowledge you gain on the application, on the architecture, on the users, it helps you to be more effective when you're building your product. Just an example, we're seeing this a lot
Mm-hmm.
in other companies. Like, you work on a feature, then you do it, you get it to an MVP layer level, then did anyone ever think about how that should work at scale, right? Those are the type of question that you might want to ask from a qualitative standpoint of view. From a security standpoint of view, you might just introduce a completely new service, very big, processing sensitive data, customers' data, banking accounts, whatever. And then you said, all right, this is internal, it's communicating with my internal service. Then you expose some of that elements from an API to your users, because this is the business requirement. But you never put some thoughts about security around, because whenever you say, "Oh, this is the mess that I have in my room. I'm not going to clean it up," I don't even think that one of my visitors will come and open the door and see all of that mess. So I will clean only what is externally facing, and then you might generate by design a backdoor to something sensitive, and you never put security in place. So only when you understand how your users are going to use the product, and only when you understand what are the different services and how they speak with each other, then you can get better decisions in design, in your coding phase, when it comes to security, when it comes to quality. It's like changing everything. But it's hard because services are complex, right? But this is what I would probably ask.
Cool. Simon, some trick.
No, well, listen, just with the security lens on it, right? So, again, Dan and I have been in the AppSec space for a few years now, and it's with security. It's not that developers don't necessarily care about security. It's not their day job, right? They're building product, they're writing code. So, I think any developer who's got more of an awareness of what secure coding means, I think is a good thing. And again, we talk a lot with clients, the security champion program. If your clients out there are listening, I think for us that's a really, really good way to scale your AppSec program and embed security within development teams. So identifying those personas that are interested in security and getting them involved as early as possible, I think is a good thing to do.
Cool. If I might contribute to this one, I would say that when you understand because now I have changed my mind. For example, before I was okay, I focus on the company or I focus on my code. I need to focus on my business impact. Yeah, this is one thing. But after working for a critical industry, I know that my company is delivering a product which is going to run a factory or an energy plant or like things that can stop a city, things that can benefit one or another in a war, for example. So after coming to this kind of industry, then I realized like, okay, so if my code has a breach, it's not about my pocket or my employees or something. Actually, I kind of be responsible for the society itself, for a problem on the society. If I work in a bank and the bank system is down, people are not able to get their money or pay for the bills or whatever. Yeah? So with this mindset, like, okay, what the impact my business has on the society itself, I would say that skill would be for not only for developers, like, but everybody on the software development lifecycle should have in mind. What can we damage outside? Not only our company, yes, it's important, our pockets, business, that's very important. But what's the impact on the society itself? Either if you are a bank or e-commerce or a car, or whatever. Yeah? So that skill, if I have the magic, I would put this seed in everybody's mind. Yeah. Okay. What now? Just going to, let me see the time. Yeah, going to the end. What's the thing that you think that makes you, okay, companies know that they need security, everybody knows already. It's rare companies that, oh, do I need security, they accept already that they need tools, scanners, that's fine. But still there's a challenge selling security, not solutions itself, but I know you were also on the solution side. I know it's hard to sell security even internally, to the company. It's hard to sell new process, hard to sell a new ability, and kind of such things like that. What other challenge on this side for you as a vendor that you face on the companies to, like, guys, why you need this solution, this kind of solution? It can be yours,
Yeah.
can be other. Price is one thing, but what are the challenges on this side to convince people that they need this kind of solutions?
Yeah. I mean, it's great. And listen, I guess we're in unusual times, right? There's wars unfortunately going on in the world. There's lots of macro factors, right? So, and the economy is in pretty poor shape, right? So the organizations we work with, be it large or small, are frankly, looking to typically trim costs from their trim from their budgets, right? So that could mean tool consolidation. It could be often just sticking with a tool that may not be fit for purpose, but they're just going to renew for another year because running a POC or running an evaluation or a procurement process costs money. So we're seeing some of that, right? But I think for us, it's like there's with a tool like, well, let's talk about the application security posture management market per se, right? There is, that's a clear direction the market's moving in, and there's some clear pain that technologies like Apira are out to solve. And for us, it's focusing on things like improving our operational efficiencies, but fundamentally as well, reducing risk posture, and that's still a top priority for CISOs across all enterprises today. So I think, and again, the other thing as well, in terms of leveraging existing investments, that's important as well. So something we have I guess a mantra here within Apiro is, let's leverage your existing investments in AppSec tools, be it SAST, SCA, DAST, etc. And let's contextualize those findings and help you prioritize to cut through the alerts and actually identify what's business impacting from a risk perspective. But I think, I think it's tough times for every vendor out there in the market today, but I think it's hooking on some core pain points that particular client has. But then, it's fundamentally risk reduction and operational efficiencies in terms of, fundamentally helping them build and release code as quickly as possible.
And I also think that we need, I guess, to be honest with ourselves. There are few drivers that the organization start to care about security. A, it's a breach. No one wants to get breached. It's embarrassing. It puts some people's role at stake. It for companies who went to IPO, it reduced the stock dramatically. If some like it has a financial impact from a risk liability point. The second thing, so we talked about breach. This is one thing. The second thing is compliance, right? Like I need to meet the compliance standards. In order to meet that compliance standards, I need to take seriously the data that I'm processing, my customers' information, the company that I'm involved in. I need to improve my security posture. If I won't do it, I won't meet my compliance. Usually, it's a very like low dominator. Third piece, and it's the most important one, is trust with my customers, right? If I'm going to do a business with a very large financial organization, and in Apiro, for example, we scan code, right? Like it's the most sensitive IP for every software organization. If they won't trust us that we take super seriously and cautiously, like the way that we manage and protect their code, who can access to it, what are the security procedures, who can access production, like all of that good stuff, how we develop our own software, how we are making sure that it's clear of vulnerabilities in our containers, in the development, the developers are going through background check. So generating that trust in order for you to close business is critical. And fourth point, which I didn't plan, but it's also a very good point, and also going back to your previous comment about impact to the society, right? So we have today this executive order of Biden, right, the 14028, speaks about growing complexity in cybersecurity threats and how organizations should embrace and improve their cybersecurity practices in order to prevent those very complex attacks. And it's a layered approach. You can't protect it in one layer. So you need to have that layer, and you need to change the culture, and you need to enable your developers. And it's an ongoing, repeatable process. And if it wasn't that way, so you didn't have a job, I didn't have a job, and we will never need like application security engineers and Devsecops guys and anyone who can touch and push security forward. It's a hard task, but yeah.
Devsecops. Devsecops.
Cool. Now I want to bring one question that I did before, just in another way. If you had the power to set up a skill to every AppSec professional, which skill would be that?
I let Simon go first now.
I can say this one very easy. Know how to code. Every security guy should know how to code. Not the whole development process, but know how to code and how code works. Easy.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think I think rather than adding another point, just to build on the point you made, it absolutely and another point there in terms of AppSec folks. There aren't enough good AppSec professionals in the market today. Without by any stretch of the imagination, we have probably daily conversations with the clients we're working with and say, hey, do you know any good AppSec folks? Because we can't hire any. So if there's any younger folks listening to the podcast, maybe that's a career path you might want to think about. But no, you're absolutely right. An AppSec professional with a background in development, absolutely. Again, Idan runs our sales engineering team, and that's a super strong quality that I know Idan looks for in his team members is at least some background in potentially coding or some software development back, because without that, building that trust as an AppSec practitioner as you're engaging with the development teams, it's a lot more difficult, right? You're not talking their language, you're not understanding their day to day, right? So yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I think we have a consensus. I must say that when you first asked that question, this was the first thing that I had in mind, like code, but I had to think about it. And I agree. And I think the reason that we need AppSec to know to code is to create that mutual language and trust with developers, right? Because in the end of the day, if you want to engage someone, if I need now to give you more work or interrupt you as a developers, when we know that Cassio, we never being measured about how secure our code is, and sometimes not even how much buggy it is or not. How fast did we deliver it to production?
Yeah.
Go to customer. This is the only thing that we're getting measured on. So that means that in order to improve security, so when I think about it, like what's in it for me, I need to know that, okay, so Cassie is my AppSec guy. I'm trusting here because whenever we have that conversation, he knows what are my concerns, and he knows how to address things and how a developer would look like and these things, and he can generate that mutual language and help to challenge me. So I agree. Coding would be I think.
Cool. Going to the end of the episode, is there anything else, guys, that you wanted to say, to pop up? Like we could talk about this. We have 2-3 more minutes, but any topic that you want, or if not, you can just say goodbye, send links, whatever. Follow me. Anything, any final message that you want to say to the audience, please feel free.
Well, no. I think for me, I'll probably have to do a quick plug on Apiro in a moment. But no, Cassio, listen, you're a superstar. So thank you for inviting us along to this and for the great discussion. Those folks that don't know Apiro, we're a cloud native application security platform, and that helps secure your development from design to code to cloud, and that's sort of what we're doing, pioneering the ASPM market. But love to love to talk to any of your listeners if they're interested. Simon@apiro.com is my email. Idan, maybe a final few words from you.
Yeah, well, first of all, Casio, thank you for having us. It was a great conversation, and I learned a lot also from you. And it's very interesting to uncover some of the challenges that we face, all of us in AppSec. I always urge more people and more great and talented people to join this community of security and application security because it's really hard task and there is tons to do. And I definitely say that within these conversations and other conversations with other practitioners, we just find more creative ways on how to improve security and improve our application security practices, each one of us in his role. Again, if you want to chat more, you can reach me out in LinkedIn. You can find me in Facebook. You can find me probably almost everywhere. And again, thank you, Cassio.
Yeah, I think one also important question from the audience is like, are you hiring? So where they can send CVs and so on.
I think we're always hiring. I think so. Yeah. If yeah, I think Idan probably you're the man for that.
Yeah, definitely. Like anyone who wants to get himself working for a bureau, just send us a CV, reach us in LinkedIn. We will connect you with the right people. We're always looking for talented people to join our team. So yeah, thanks for
Good. And if you mentioned that you heard about this on the Devsecops podcast, you skip one process of the interview. Huh? It's easy, like a discount, like from the Black Friday. No, just kidding, guys. Thank you for the time again. Thank you for sharing this knowledge. I think it's very important to talk more, to discover, small part of pieces on the daily basis, also to share with the community and to the industry that are facing the same problems. Yeah? So again, thank you. This was, I think it's 140 episodes of Devsecops podcast already on fourth season. We are having a break from December and January, so we will be back in February. But this is the double episode. We have this episode and another episode that we recorded, just a recap from the year. But this is a goodbye from 2023 for our audience and everybody. So we see everybody on the next year, and you guys are already invited. So if you have new topics, anything that you want to discuss, February we are back. We can record again. Huh?
Appreciate it.
So thank you. We see you next year, guys. Bye bye.
That was Devsecops, your cybersecurity in technology podcast. Devsecops, finishing now.